Watch and complain.
That's us. And so something interesting happened. And my interesting part was very on the low end
Interesting.
compared to what happened to Will.
Phil
But
got pubic hair.
You go first, Phil.
Yeah, a long time ago. No, I got a strike for the Ghostbusters Afterlife video that we did because I'm guessing only because they didn't like that I used a Ghostbusters image for our background and thumb. That's my only
Which
guess.
should be fine, right?
It should be, but I'm guessing they did like blanket strikes as much as they could.
Which is
Well, they
funny because
show on
you'd think with a movie that tried to fucking rehash as much nostalgia as it could and said, remember, everybody, remember. You think they'd be fine with it. If we had done it to that 2016 Ghostbusters, it would have been fine with it.
They finally added that to the digital collection, eh?
What for?
I disputed the claim, whatever it was, because the funniest thing is they don't tell you. They like, just like your issue, they don't say like what exactly it is. It just says like, I got copyright claimed. I'm like, the only thing I can find is this thumbnail, and it shouldn't be that way. That's just silly. So I disputed it, and we'll see what happens in like 3 months or whatever the stupid thing is.
2 days. It takes 2 days.
It's been way longer already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like, what happened to you, Will?
Well, I do this side gig where I do top 10 Christmas movies for Joe Blow. One of those that I rented was To Live and Die in LA. And I usually, to maximize my rent, because I have to pay money to rent, that's money out of my paycheck anyways, because you want good quality of it. Anyways, I had to upload a scene to my YouTube page, just, and I've been doing this for about, 10 years off and on. And I decided to upload the sex scene because the entire movie was already uploaded. And I only do it. I've done that once before, but I do it if it like actually contributes to the plot. In this sense, the guy is taking advantage of his CI and in demonstrating their relationship, sex for information kind of thing, with William Peterson's character. Anyway, so I uploaded that, and then another one of which I uploaded was Dressed to Kill, which has like an opening horror sequence basically that's a tribute to Psycho and is in the shower as well. And it's a dream sequence to show that the main character, played by Angie Dickinson, is just trying to escape her mundane realities, and it comes back to bite her. Anyways, I had properly age gated it and everything, and I followed the community guidelines. And then I for the Live and Die in LA one, I had put on my computer the age gate, and it like didn't go through. And then so YouTube set it for me. I got an email saying, no trouble, we set it for you. It's not a big deal. You don't have any copyright or community guideline strikes or anything. And I'm like, great. But, me not being able to leave well enough alone, I reached out to, the YouTube interns on the chat wheel, and they were like, I don't know. Like, and I'm like, I don't know if anything can be done, but I'm like, can you look into it and see if I could set it rather than having it be set by YouTube, because I like being responsible for my own content. And they said, yeah, they'll put down your email. We'll get back to you in a few days. And next thing I know, like 2 days later, I try and go into YouTube, and it's like, oh, that's odd. It's not letting me in. Is YouTube down or something? And then it's like, after reviewing your claim, we have decided to remove your entire account. I have 10 years worth of videos on there. We've removed your entire account. I understand this must be frustrating for you, but please know that your account is completely terminated. There is no way that you can get it back, and you can never create another YouTube account again. Jesus Goodbye. So, and then I realized today that I'd been uploading, you guys remember those ultraviolet movies? I had been uploading the digital copies of all the movies that I get and putting them on like YouTube, because that's where I access it the most. And like there were like 50 to 65.
You mean like on private?
Yeah, on your YouTube account. Like and if you just type in, Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever Marvel film, you can go onto YouTube. Anywhere you can log into YouTube, which is anywhere on anything, and that's very convenient. You can digitally watch your movie.
Technically you were going against copyright then.
No, because they have a copyright system when you upload it where they will there's a check, when you're uploading of like, does this violate copyright? Does this pass the checks? They do a scan through their video. That's what the processing is. And so when you're initially copywriting, you're informed like this person, this content belongs to this person that you're uploading. And it's either like they've restricted it or they're allowing to use it and they'll take the monetization and take the advertisement money on your behalf or something like that, or we've restricted it in some countries or some other thing. But it's usually for the copyright checks. They'll let you know before you're uploading or as you're uploading whether or not it violates copyright. Sometimes, like with you, Phil, it can be like distant where it's like 2 months later somebody noticed, like I did a Black Panther review with one of my friends, and 2 months later it was like, yeah, the music video people noticed because I used all the
I'm
stars,
really
but it
confused.
wasn't a copyright violation.
Well, I'm really confused at your, like, I get that the copyright check didn't, we're gonna go long in this and we're gonna make it a segment because I'm really confused. Like, I'm really into this. The copyright system only applies when other people upload a certain algorithm or whatever that scans their stuff and then says, hey, it's this, it then tries to compare. So if someone hasn't
like,
uploaded a digital signature,
yeah,
if someone hasn't uploaded that digital signature, then that doesn't make it free reign still.
Well, it's an interesting thing because YouTube, same with when I worked at Staples and other countries, they have their own copyright policy. Because if it were copyright law, then it would fall within fair use, which overlaps a lot with what YouTube does. You can say,
how is it fair use?
Pardon?
How is it fair use?
It's not a significant portion of the movie. It's like, typically they're like 2 to 5 minutes. So they're like, less than 10%, which is actually the rule and not satisfying for YouTube. That's why they have their own policies. But the purpose of the clip, there has to be a purpose for the clip. So it has to be for either private instruction, so like educational purposes, non-commercial or non-commercial use, or a variety of any others. But copyright law as its own isn't strong enough. So what YouTube does, similar to what Staples and other companies do, is that they have copyright policies where it's just kind of like, well, this might not violate rules, but we don't want that. I've uploaded things like, I'm trying to think of what I uploaded in the past. Weirdly, because they must not distribute in all places, Suspiria. I had a clip from Suspiria, the remake, of the shocking, twisted, gross dance scene, basically, where, and that was banned in like America and removed for use in America. But like in Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, where it was getting all of these views, it was allowed to be seen. So a lot of times they ban it from being seen. But
I'm sorry, you said you said that you were uploading full movies, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay. That's where I got confused because I thought you were saying you were uploading the full movie of the thing, and I'm like, well, if they look at your account, like they're going to ban you.
That's entirely, then that's not fair use, because then you're using more than 10% of the movie, and it is the most important thing, taking money away from people buying the movie. Is the reason why. They care less when you get to, let's say for a movie like To Live and Die in LA, which is A, was a flop, B, was 35 years ago, and C, was like from 20th Century Fox as a major distributor. For things that don't make money, which is where a lot of my clips are from, they don't care as much because it's like, well, we're not making any money, so we'll just turn on the ads and that's that. For example, I would not be able to upload something, anything from Disney or Avengers. I don't know how other accounts do it or get away with it, because a lot of them do on YouTube, the Natasha Romanoff death on in Avengers Endgame, and it's like 1 million views. It's like, wow, I guess they just decided not to go after them, because there are tricks that you can do where you can put it in black and white or
Well, I've
mirror
seen
the
people
image.
they zoom into it too far too, right? Like they'll zoom
Yeah,
in.
that used to be a thing, and what
And
you were saying was the black and white, or what was the mirroring? Yeah, I tried that
yeah,
myself. That didn't work.
yeah, sometimes it
It,
just doesn't work. They still know they're
yeah,
clever, but like for what I was doing, the copyright wasn't the issue. It was like, check mark, this belongs to this person. They're allowing you to use it on their behalf. They're just going to collect advertisement money. And these views, especially because I had a lot of subscribers, they'd make 1,000 views, 10,000 views, 50,000 views, 250,000 views, that kind of thing. For example, for the Apple thing, my most popular clip at the time of uploading was Ted Lasso season 2, episode 1, where he gives like a very heartwarming dog speech. And it basically said, Apple is testing out whether or not like its own copyright thing. For now, they will allow you to use it at any, cost, but they can ask you to take it down at any time, or basically remove it at any time. In the meantime, they'll let they'll take all the ad monetization made from this
yeah.
revenue, all the revenue made from this video they will take, which is pretty much how I did it for most of my videos. It's just, I believe what they decided probably was, when I asked them, that little intern, to like look into my account, it put a lot of attention on my account that maybe YouTube wasn't paying attention to in like large doses.
Yeah.
And then they saw the last 2 clips from To Live and Die in LA and Dress to Kill, and they're like, oh, pornography, that even though it's age gated, that violates whatever. Even though it actually falls within, both within fair use and within the community guidelines, because it's the approach. The problem is the approach that YouTube takes is like, this is offensive. Well, what's offensive? We know it when we see it, kind of thing. So it's kind of, knee jerk, basically. And it's kind of like, well, we decide what's offensive, like when it is, but there's no hard and fast rules. So I didn't violate any.
Almost sounds like you got 2 strikes. The third strike is basically what happened.
But I didn't have any strikes on my account. Like I had 0 copyright strikes, no community guideline strikes. I didn't have anything. Like, so you have a strike right now.
Those none of that. Those 2 other issues were not put on your account as a strike.
The first thing with To Live and Die in LA was me being me, of like me forgetting to label it a certain way. And when you upload it, it goes through YouTube's check process, and they said, hey, we noticed that you didn't label this correctly, even though I did. It's like my computer must have made a mistake or something, but we labeled it for you, so it says rated by YouTube rather than rated by user, for an 18 plus video. And that really annoyed me, because I wanted to change it. And then I noticed, funny enough, on both these videos, within the first hour, usually I have to promote to Reddit, like, check out this cool movie scene or something. With these videos, probably because of their content, I didn't have to advertise it. People must have been looking for it. It already had 1,000 views within an hour. And I think that probably traffic spike got their attention, and they decided to get rid of it the same as they would any spam channel or thereabouts.
It just seems odd that they wouldn't like say, hey, here's your big shocked. Warning. Like, don't do this again. Yeah. Don't, like, they could have been specific and said, if you do any of this type of thing again, your channel's gone. Like, we're giving you a chance.
And they totally had the power to do that. They could have. I was expecting them to say, whoa, these types of videos aren't allowed. We know that this doesn't do this, but it does this. Please take it down. Or in their case, which they would have the power to do, like, we've removed it for you. But it's just basically, and this is what makes me feel bad, is that, like, there wasn't a person that did this. It was algorithmic entirely. There was no person who looked at this account really and saw the history of it and was just kind of like, oh, it's this, it's so just basically, so you're like, thinking, well, it's this one video, it's gone. And I've heard the same thing has happened to musicians who do private lessons and stuff, and then they get a bunch of, like, after nothing, they get a bunch of copyright strikes, or their account gets totally taken down when they're, doing their own compositions and stuff. Interpolation, which is illegal.
Covers, yeah.
On music, yeah, essentially covers. But YouTube has it within their policy that it's like vaguely, well, this doesn't violate the rules, but I don't like it, so I can take it down.
Terms of service says they can do whatever they want. So
at any time, you have no rights. They actually have a funny loophole where it's like, okay, you own all the content you upload to YouTube, which actually surprised me a bit. Like, of the stuff that is copyright aside, you own all that stuff, but you can't download it. There's a downloading option, and you can download it as a YouTube file, but the YouTube file isn't really shareable. You pretty much would have to go to like a third-party pirate site or whatever to export it, but they have exporting in their terms of service as being against the rules. So you can download it using like YouTube software, if you have YouTube Red or something.
You mean if you're downloading someone else's stuff?
No, for your own stuff within the terms of service. It says that you can download, like, because there's a lot of stuff, and I had 10 years worth of stuff, so I'd upload it, and I'm like, oh, it's on YouTube. It's only ever going to be seen on there. You're talking about
the M3U files or something like that, or is
MP3,
it something else?
You mean?
M3U.
No, I'm just wondering. Is what?
An M3U is a playlist.
What am I thinking of then? I know what you're talking. Is it 3PU or 3G? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
MP3 converters or YouTube to MP4 converting websites where you just put in the URL and it will.
But when I download my own stuff via like the content viewer, it downloads an MP4.
Yeah. Well, according to their terms of service, what I read, and it could be their new terms of service, which is coming out on January 5th, that under exporting rules, it's like you can download your own stuff, but you can't export. So maybe it's just related to that, or that I read differently than you, or we're talking about the same thing and we just don't understand.
What would be the difference between downloading it and exporting your own stuff?
Because downloading it is like, I have a copy it's like watching Netflix offline. You can download this to watch on Netflix for later use when you don't have an internet connection. Same with YouTube. But God forbid you can't take that and then export it to Dailymotion and then upload it somewhere else, away from YouTube.
I don't know why you do that.
What they have.
I don't know why you wouldn't just. I just don't know why you wouldn't just go into your content listing and just say download, and it just comes into a normal file.
Like, why wouldn't I do? Well,
I mean, like the general person, I don't get what the issue is here.
I never had to download any of my own photos, but I was using, or my own videos, but I was using that as an example in their terms of service of where they have these loopholes where it's like, yeah, you own everything. Everything is technically up to snuff, but there are these loopholes where if you do this, then we can ban you, basically, that are pretty overextending and unfair, which I feel this was. I mean, I would understand if I was taken down for multiple copyright violations.
Yeah.
But everything I did fell within fair use, and I didn't have any copyright strikes. I didn't have any community guidelines.
Or
strikes.
If they explained it thoroughly.
Yeah, and it's just, and it's like I could basically read the email. Oh yeah, I'll read it right now. Hi, Film Gamer. We have reviewed your content and found severe or repeated violations of our community guidelines, with a link to the community guidelines. Because of this, we have removed your channel from YouTube. We know that this is probably very upsetting news, but it's our job to make sure that YouTube is a safe place for all. If we think that a channel severely violates our policies, we take it down to protect other users on the platform. But if you believe that we've made the wrong call, you can appeal this decision. You'll find more information about the policy in question and how to submit an appeal below. And that says how it affects your channel. We have permanently removed your channel from YouTube. Going forward, you won't be able to access, possess, or create any other YouTube channels. What you can do next, if you want to appeal this decision, review the community guidelines, appeal here. Make sure you fill out the appeal form as completely as possible. So that's what
It
I got,
doesn't
and then
tell
I
you
also have.
specifics, which is dumb.
Well,
Yeah, no, it's
that's
just
the
copy and
lawyerese
pasted
way to get
for
around it,
anybody.
isn't it?
And I appealed it, and and the way that I figured it out was I'm like, oh, okay. Like, so I'll just do the appeal like I do for, because I've appealed a few copyright things the same as you.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like, no, we're keeping it. And then other time, like I wanted to upload a Steven Spielberg scene, which was historically the first 360-degree shot inside a car, which I thought was like historically valuable because it was from his first film, The Sugarland Express. I uploaded in NBC Universal, didn't like it, and they're like, no, we just don't want that shared. So it wasn't allowed. So I figured it would be something like that. And it said your appeal was denied. And you can't appeal again.
For this current issue or just that?
For this current issue of my channel.
So you've been denied already.
Yeah. It took 2
sucks.
days. Yeah. So 10 years worth of content.
They didn't even
my
explain
digital
it.
locker movies.
Huh.
Can
you do anything else on Google? Like, are you fine with everything
else?
Yes.
The rest of the stuff is unaffected, but I don't think I can't use the YouTube app because the YouTube app requires a sign in order to utilize the YouTube app. It can't be uninstalled because I have a Google phone. So it's on there and can't be uninstalled. So
You
like
should just
logging
start
out
fresh.
is difficult. So I have to do it through the internet browser if I want to watch YouTube in guest mode, which also doesn't allow you strangely anymore to look at the comments.
Have you tried, even though they say don't, have you tried creating a whole new Google account?
No, because that would be violating the rules. They say
you already have technically, so it doesn't matter.
What?
You've already lost the account. Well, the Google side, the YouTube side of things, right? Like it's unusable now. So I'm just like, what else do you like? Could you not migrate to a new account and see if that'll work? And you can start from scratch, but be very careful when you're using the YouTube portion.
No, because they would know or find out basically like all of my other stuff.
Might not.
Like Google Docs, like they own I have a Google phone. Like I have a Google phone. I have a Google Chromecast.
I don't know if I were you, I wouldn't accept SOL.
Well, okay. I'll tell you this now since it's recording. I'm contemplating legal action, but I doubt there probably won't be any traction on that.
Yeah, because they've got some high-powered lawyers.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't even do it. Like just me. If this happened to me, I would just damn my current Google account, sign up for a new one, and see what happens.
I mean, yeah, it's like
What's
I don't
the
want
worst
to
that can
start
happen?
again. Really, I don't want to start again for the same thing to happen again.
But then you're screwed. Like, what do you do with YouTube stuff?
Well, I had some stuff. Like the two things that I'm most proud of that have done that are still useful to me, or at least that I like, are my Tenet and Last of Us review. A few film montages, but those are on Vimeo. So I thought going forward, I'll like there was a decision that was made for me where I usually uploaded all of my gameplay to YouTube as I was playing it, like through Resident Evil. And I would split that between Twitch and YouTube. But then I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to miss a cool part. So I'll upload just the whole playthrough to YouTube. So I had several playthroughs of games they had done that have been uploaded to YouTube. But now that that's gone, it's like the decision is made for me and I can just focus on Twitch gaming, 100%, which I was never hugely into, but it's like an option. The same thing happened to me similarly to my Facebook account. The difference is that I gave Facebook money to advertise my page and then they took it down, but they didn't even give me like really a notice. It's just like this channel is unavailable, but there was no email, there was nothing.
I think this just all goes in line with like you kind of have to worry when, like, I know you're saying it's fair use and everything like that, but when you're putting any copyright material onto these sites that are saying, hey, don't do that, you have a big chance of being stricken down. Like I expect the same thing to happen to TikTok.
Because you you say worry as if I did something wrong.
Well, you technically did within the bounds of YouTube. And like, I think it's common knowledge in general that you shouldn't put even clips of like, I thought trailers would be, it used to be at least, full on
yeah.
free use, and like you could do that
Mhm.
because it's advertising for them. It's smart.
And they are actually
Not technically, because they can strike you down and there's nothing you can do about it. So
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, if you're careful, you don't do that anymore. And that's what I try not to do, except I've done it on TikTok, and I'm still worried about those clips being stricken down or my account banned. I have to worry about that. But like if you're doing it constantly and almost every video is something copyright, one would think eventually it's going to catch up with you. And I think like
But
the
it
same thing will happen to a
didn't,
bunch of
though.
people on, well, it did,
Like, that's not the reason though, that
but
like,
you
because
don't
I
know
had a
the
bunch
reason.
of, no, it says like the reason is like it, like my reason are like basically those two videos probably,
Before
like
that.
that's the
But
only thing that like makes sense.
if they went through and said, okay, we have this guy that's asking about this, we'll look at his account, make sure it's in good standing, and then they see a whole bunch of copyright material uploaded, they could definitely be in that camp of like, this is not okay. Like it
But
becomes
then why wouldn't
opinion
they
at
give
that
me
point. But
copyright strikes if I like
I agree with you. I completely
but
agree with you on that.
But your logic kind of doesn't make sense then, because you're saying, well, you should know better or be sure that like this is going to catch up with you,
Yes.
when that's not the reason that it caught up with me. It's like,
but it could
like
have been.
The problem I have with the argument is just basically like, well, you should walk on eggshells because these major companies can extend beyond the law and just strike you down. And
Yes.
my thing is just kind of like they'll do that anyways. So
not if you're not
if I'm
doing
going to
things
use
they
the
deem
platform,
improper.
Pardon?
If you're not doing things that they deem improper, that we know from day one of YouTube that they've been trying to cut down on.
But it's only deemed improper because they decided now that it's improper. Like if they wanted, they could have very easily just copyright strike, you're gone.
The only reason they don't follow up on the fact that everything that is copyright, everything that's everything that's under copyright can be taken down, is because they can't do it. They don't have enough people to do that. That's why they put the software in other people's hands.
That's a them issue. Like
Yes.
Obviously it's a me issue for being taken down because it was basically done by their algorithm. But I don't think on the platform that they run, especially when they allow hate speech to be go freely unchecked, like by noted white supremacists and stuff like that. Like it's a you problem that it's like them saying, well, if they were to say, well, we don't have enough people, there's too much, and it's like, well, then you should even greater restrict what's going on. And if that were consistent with the reason that I was taken down, I'd be more okay with it. But it's just,
I think if they explain the reason better, it'd be great.
Anything, because I know copyright law. I follow communications. I read their terms of service. I followed their community guidelines. I didn't get any strikes in community guidelines or copyright. Had they asked me to take it down, I would have. They could have easily just taken down videos like they have before. Yep. And this was just something of, a removal, basically. And it was just like basically like everything's okay until we say otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's otherwise. Yeah. So it's just like, I'll move my stuff to another platform. If I didn't have this video editing gig, which I got because of my YouTube portfolio, I'd probably be more annoyed at it. But it's like, well, I was working towards monetization. Like 30,000 hours of content was like watched on my channel. And I did have plenty of original content as well. Things like Let's Plays, which are totally, allowed and encouraged.
Until they're
YouTube
not.
Gaming. Yeah, they are. Like they have...
I said until they're not.
Yes. Yeah. So
Rob, can you close us off with a opinion?
I don't have much to say. I was going to say at the end of this might be one of those videos that I should just be not included on, because I'm sure whoever's watching is just watching me look at my ceiling, look at my phone, look at the ceiling, look at the printer, look at my phone, ceiling.
To what extent? Yeah. I was going to say, to what extent does it stop? Like, like you said, like them coming into your house basically and being like, well, this is not copyrighted, or this isn't,
Well, that's what the FBI
like, should we
would
just
love
always
to do.
live in fear?
Yes. I think no matter what, they get to decide. And
but they're not government. Like, they're not
I know.
law. They don't make the laws.
But that's like saying the grocery store down the street, or say, like, let's not say grocery store because that's a food place. But let's say a department store that doesn't have food. I don't know. Something that doesn't fall within the certain restrictions of, like the government saying you have to have access to food. But anyway, like if they say you can't come in with your dog, then you can't come in with your dog. If they say you can come in with your dog, you can come in with your dog, because it's a private thing. YouTube is a private company.
No, because then they have you, like, there's a Food and Pets Act basically that's like instilled by the government that they have to follow, like, retail laws.
Okay,
so
if I'm a mom and pop shoe company, I don't whatever, like, I can decide who can be in my store. If I think you're not proper, like not within certain things, but if I think that you're trying to cause a problem, I can call the police on you and have you escorted out.
Sure. Yeah, like, that makes complete sense. But YouTube is not a mom and pop store.
But YouTube isn't a federal. It's not a government run thing. It's a personal company. It's a private company. They can decide their own rules.
You guys think that's
do I think it's right? That's
kind of hypocritical no. To the point of which Google is, and it exists.
It's a monopolization because there's no one else that can stand to that level.
Yes. And something about monopolization, it's illegal.
I know, but then there's those, you get within these like gray zones, and there's nothing that can be done until big federal wants to do something about it.
And it should be.
And they came down on all the social media platforms, and look what happened. Nothing happened.
I think that's because the people making the laws are too old, and they,
and they get money from these places
and social media as much that they don't really know what they're talking about.
They also
and
get
that's
payouts.
The reason why we haven't seen more legal stuff happening with that.
Yep, old people that want to stay rich. And that was our talk about copyright and all these types of things within the YouTube zone. Realm. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. If we're just throwing that out there as an extra little segment. Watch watchandcomplain.com. Go to all our socials. Add us as friends because we're friendly sometimes, I guess.
I'm super talkative, like you saw in this whole 30-minute discussion of me just not.
Rob will be very talkative in the next one. All right, you can end the recording, Rob.
Bye, everybody.